Hi there, my name is Diane Lennon. I'm a solo practitioner. I'm an attorney in Totowa, New Jersey, and I handle primarily real estate and matrimonial matters. Oh, that's sort of like a loaded question. When you first sit there and you're like, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer, you have sort of visions of working like for a big firm, making all this money, driving the Mercedes and the house in Short Hills. Um, and then you realize those things aren't what's, for me, those weren't the most important. Yes, I want a nice car, I want a nice place to live, but you also want to have some type of personal satisfaction from it. And I realized that's a little bit harder to do if you work for the big firms. So I had worked for a small firm. The woman unfortunately got sick. It was a great job. And at that time, if I was ever going to try to go out on my own, that was the time to do it. I went out on my own, and I'm able to help more people that wouldn't have access to legal services because I don't have a huge overhead. I'm not working for a big firm with 1,800 hours to bill. It's my choice of what I take and what I don't. And that's given me a lot of personal satisfaction, knowing that I have been able to give people legal advice and legal services that would not have been able to handle it. And because of that, either their lives or their kids' lives are forever changed by it. I still think that the law field is a male-dominated field. I know that women have made great inroads. I know that there are women partners, women managing partners, but I think that being a woman is still still a difficult field to be in. And you have to work twice as hard. You don't get the recognition. And from that perspective, it's very hard to keep your focus on, you've got to do a good job knowing that John Jones is taking all the credit for it. That's a difficult thing to have to deal with. And it's just, unfortunately, it's part of being a woman, and it's part of being in that field, and you just find a way around it and you go forward. No, absolutely not. Because I sit there and I have friends who are women, and especially in the law field, you have a child and you go out on maternity leave, you come back, and they're like, the law field is a full-time job. You're required to be here all the time. I know you have a 3 or 4 month old at home, but you are required to be here. There's no flexibility. And I understand that, yes, certain areas of law, maybe you do actually have to physically be in the office. But in today's day and age, where there's so much telecommunications and you can sign in from home on all these things, I think there should be more flexibility. If you've historically shown that you're a good worker, you get your jobs done, you meet your deadlines, if you need to work from home 1 or 2 days a week, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways. If a guy needs to split the parenting responsibilities, then he should be able to do that also. But if you can work home from 2 or 3 days and you can be with your child and, be there, or your child gets sick and you're like, oh, you have to take off again. In the end, being a mom is going to outweigh any being an attorney or any other occupation. It's very difficult. The law field is difficult, unless you work for yourself. I have two aunts on my father's side that I just really admire. They're strong women, and they're very loving women. They're very supportive, but in a very firm way. Like, they'll be like, what are you doing? You can't keep doing that. That's not good. That's not healthy for you. Whatever it is, or, stop letting other people stop you. And to this day, she's still my best role model. I would go back even farther than that. I would go back to high school. I would go back to high school when you're sitting there trying to figure out what it is you want to do. And I never thought I was smart enough to go to college. I just thought I didn't have it because you had to be like an A student on the honor roll and everything else. But there was no one around to say, well, go and try it. My advice to a younger me would be go, just try. If you can't get in the traditional route, get in an alternate route. Go to a community college if you can't get into one of the regular universities or college. Start taking your GREs. Because you're going to get older anyway, at least accumulate your credits. And before you know it, you'll realize, yeah, you can take all these classes and you do have the ability. Yes, you have to have some smarts, but everyone has them. And it's more of a matter of perseverance. And you just hear people like, oh, I'm not smart enough to go to college. Who's telling you that? Go to community college. Take online courses. Do something. That's what I would go back further than my career. Because, I mean, I was in my 30s before I went to college. So it's not like I was like in my 20s and decided, oh, let's go. Not saying that 30 is prehistoric, but to start college at 30 and knowing you have 4 years of college and 4 years of law school, that's your 40s. That's your 30s. Gone. I don't know if it's just for women, or I think right across the board that everyone has access to higher education. I think that's going to be a big thing, even for men or women. Women need that. Women, I still see the stereotype that we're not going to spend money on your education because you're going to get married and have babies, and you're going to stay home, and that bothers me. I think even if she's going to get married and stay home and have kids at 21, that he'll still get an education because you never know what path life takes you on. And you need to be able to support yourself no matter what. It's not divorce. It's, all the widows from 9/11. They thought their husbands were going to be around forever, So I think that's it that everyone has access to an education and you're not denied an education because you can't afford it. To go for it. She's not really by biological needs, but she is in other ways. And she's in her last year of high school. And it was like applying for colleges. Oh, I don't know if I can go there. Yes, you will. We'll fill out the application. We'll go through it and you apply. The worst that happens is you lose $50 in an application fee. But then you have no regrets. You have no regrets like, oh, I wish I had tried it. And if it really is your dream school, because it came close and we didn't know if it was going to work, get into another college, get into your number 2 school, bust your butt, get good grades, and then transfer to your number 1. That's it. Just to go and try it, and maybe sometimes you're not going to be able to go to the first college, and you're going to have to go into a community or a different college. But try. Then you're never going to have any regrets, and you might find out that was the best thing that happened to you along the way. I don't necessarily, my dream job was being a stewardess. To me, it just seemed very glamorous. At one time, at the TWA Pan Am time, it was, you go, I love to travel. That's definitely one of my passions. So I was like, oh, I could travel here or there. I didn't think about like serving people, screaming children, all that time. But that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a stewardess so I could travel.